Hey everyone, WizardEmu here, and today I'll be reviewing the PS1 version of Croc Legend of the Gobbos. Let's dive right into it. Croc is a classic PS1 era 3D platformer. It was developed by the now defunct Argonaut Games, a dev team who were most notable for their work on the original SNES Star Fox game, mainly due to their Super FX chip, which allowed for hundreds of 3D polygons to be rendered simultaneously to create some of the first ever 3D games. Early development of Croc started in 1994. The game was originally called Yoshi Racing, and reportedly the original concept was a 3D hybrid of Super Mario World's and Super Mario Kart's mechanics, starring Yoshi as a playable character. When they pitched the game to Nintendo, though they were very impressed and Shigeru Miyamoto was particularly fascinated by it as well, they ultimately turned down the pitch, thus ending Argonaut's relationship with Nintendo. The game went on to become Croc Legend of the Gobbos, and was initially released for PS1 on the 29th of September 1997 in North America, and it came to Sega Saturn and PC later. The story starts in Gobbo Valley, home to a peaceful race of creatures called Gobbos. The Gobbos raised Croc from a young age and took him in as one of their own. They also taught him how to fight. On one fateful day, the evil magician Baron Dante and his army of Dantinis invaded the valley, capturing every last Gobbo and throwing them into cages. Before Dante could get to Croc, King Rufus tail-swapped the village's gong, summoning Beanie the bird. Immediately, Beanie teleported Croc away from danger, just in time before King Rufus himself was captured too. Meanwhile, Baron Dante used his magical powers to transform all kinds of innocent creatures throughout the lands into evil guardians under his command. Now it's up to Croc to stop Baron Dante's evil reign and free all of his Gobbo friends along the way. The platforming feels pretty good. The jump arc is fine-tuned and works well for the platforming. However, the camera controls are interesting to say the least. Whenever Croc moves or turns in a direction, the camera will swing around to that direction. And when I say it swings, it swings! It can be pretty disorienting for new players. Also, to turn the camera properly in a certain direction, you actually have to turn Croc around on the spot by holding left or right, depending on which direction you want to turn in. You can also turn while moving, but that can get tricky since that's when the camera swings most. People have compared Croc's controls to that of tank controls. However, while that's an accurate comparison, I don't think Croc's controls are that bad once you get familiar with them. You can also perform a 180-degree flip move that allows you to immediately turn 180 degrees and smoothly continue running in that new direction. Lastly, to help with the depth perception, there are 3 different options for camera angles, which you can cycle between with L2 and R2. The controls add a lot of difficulty onto the game for those who aren't yet familiar with the ins and outs, and it takes a while to get used to. But once you do, controlling Croc gets a lot easier, and it gets more fun too, as you won't die as much. The underwater controls are a little different from other games I've played. Just like on foot gameplay, the camera will swing wildly wherever you turn. Croc can swim in 2 different ways. He can turn around on the spot just like on land, and he'll swim forward with the press of the X button. The other way requires the player to hold down the X button, allowing for a slower, smoother method of swimming, which is useful for situations that require more control. The 180-degree flip move also works underwater the same way as on land. Overall, I'm really impressed by how the devs tackled underwater movement. The water sections are very fun and I always look forward to them. While the combat is simple, it can be pretty unfair at times. I'll explain why shortly. Croc can swipe at enemies with his tail. It's his main attack that we'll be using throughout the game. When performing a tail attack underwater, Croc will lunge forward a little before doing the attack. On land, the tail attack can be performed while moving, but while underwater, the lunging part of the attack prevents movement until the lunge is finished. It can be a challenge trying to judge the distance between you and the target when you perform this attack, which tends to cause some frustration until you've gotten the hang of it. So it requires a little forward planning to use correctly. He can also do a powerful stomp attack by hitting the jump button again while in mid-air. Stomping isn't the most viable move in combat, and apart from a few bosses that require you to stomp them to damage them, you'll likely only be using his tail attack in battle. Stomping is mainly used for breaking open smash crates. Now that I've told you about Croc's moves, let's get into the combat a little more. If you encounter an enemy who has a melee attack, you simply run up to them and hit them with a tail attack or a stomp to defeat them. That works for most enemies. However, enemies with a ranged attack are a little trickier to take out because you'll need to time a jump within their small timing windows to avoid their attacks. They tend to catch you off guard quite easily, so you'll need to watch out for them with a keen eye in order to avoid that. The enemy designs are fairly basic, but they have a nice cartoony charm to them. Here's how the game's structured. There are 4 main islands, each with its own theme. Each island is structured by 3 levels, followed by a boss stage, and if you've gotten all the Gobbos in each of those 3 levels, you unlock a secret level after the boss level. This structure then repeats itself for a total of 6 main levels, 2 boss levels, and 2 secret levels per main island. Secret levels deviate from the main levels in that there are no collectibles that count towards completion present, aside from a single jigsaw piece. Though the secret levels are fairly short, they're also pretty challenging. There is a secret 5th island that can be unlocked by getting all of the jigsaw pieces from each secret level in the game. You'll need to collect every Gobbo in the game to get every jigsaw piece. So this 5th island is the final set of challenges for those willing to 100% the game. I won't reveal any more details about the 5th island to avoid spoiling it, but I will say that 100%ing the game is definitely worth it for what you get. Some of these levels are pretty short, and are especially so once you've learned the route through the level. The game itself isn't overly long, and it's actually possible to achieve 100% completion in just under 4 hours, if you've mastered the controls, and if you've memorized all the level layouts. However, on the first playthrough, the initial struggles with learning the tricky controls, combined with the fact that you're not familiar with the level layouts yet, makes a game that can be beaten in a day or two span dozens of extra hours instead. It's definitely worth it though, coming from someone who's beaten the game 3 times. In each regular level, there are 5 color crystals and 6 Gobbos. Both of these types of collectibles are scattered throughout each main level, some hidden in plain sight, while others are harder to find. You can find 5 of the 6 Gobbos throughout the level, while the 6th one can be found through the crystal door located at the end of every main level. To open this door, you'll need to find and collect all 5 color crystals in the level. Each crystal door takes you to a bonus area that contains a challenge for you to overcome, whether it's one of the many kinds of mini-games, a race, or a parkour challenge. The reward for overcoming said challenge is the 6th and final Gobbo of the level. Frequently during levels, you find trails of crystals. They're interchangeably referred to as white crystals and crystals in the manual, but I'll just call them crystals. They function exactly like the rings from Sonic the Hedgehog. Any collected crystals will allow Croc to take an extra hit before he loses a life, although once you get hit, you'll briefly enter iframes as you lose all your crystals and a portion of them will temporarily fall to the ground. Once they've fallen to the ground, you can pick them up again if you're quick, but if you leave them for a certain amount of time, they'll disappear. Collecting 100 crystals earns you an extra life. These crystals are used to guide you throughout the level and to hint at secrets you would easily miss otherwise, a developer technique used in many platformers to help guide the player. Smash crates are commonly scattered throughout nearly every area. No, not that kind of smash. Smash as in you'll need to smash them open by stomping on them in order to reveal what's hidden inside. There may be crystals, color crystals, keys, or even Gobbos hidden inside these crates. Think of these as the question mark boxes from Mario, only bigger, grounded, and requiring you to break them open from the top, rather than hitting them from below. The color of the crates match the environment they're in, which is a nice touch. If you hold the jump button while in midair, rather than merely pressing it, you'll crash straight through the smash crate and hit the ground almost instantly, instead of hanging in the air for a few extra seconds. It's a very satisfying and more efficient way of breaking them that saves a bit of time, especially so since you break so many of the crates over the course of your adventure. You can find wells in most levels. They function similarly to the warp pipes from the Super Mario games, except oftentimes they'll be plugged up by a wood log that you'll have to stomp through to enter it. Entering a well transports you to a new area with a new environment theme, and with its own set of challenges for you to overcome. Usually, the area the well transports you to will be cave themed. Some wells offer optional challenges that reward you with collectibles, while other wells have mandatory challenges you need to do to beat the level. You'll also encounter switches, which can be stepped on to provide a new path through the level, such as creating a row of platforms to jump across, or creating a moving platform to ride on. Apart from these commonly seen level features, you'll also find level elements that are introduced as you progress. Some of these include climbable walls, balloons that Croc can grab onto, which provide a swift one-way flight between one set point and another. These double arrow platforms, which have 2 buttons you can step on to move it forwards or backwards in the air. Platforms that fall or crumble underneath you, push crates that are used as a step ladder ladder to reach new heights, jelly you can bounce on, and monkey bars that you can swing across as you try to avoid the stomping Dantinis who'll try to knock you off. There are also these purple platforms that you can sort of ride on by standing on top and running in the direction you want the platform to float to. They work really well with Croc's controls, so they're great fun to use. At the end of each main level, you'll find a gong. Hitting it will signify the end of the level as it summons Beady the bird, who'll transport Croc to the next level. The whole time you're playing, the beautiful thematic soundtrack adds so much extra life and fun to the game on top of everything else. The composers did a fantastic job. The Forest Island soundtrack is bright and cheery, the Cave soundtrack is ominous and adventurous, the Snow Island soundtrack is festive and magical, while the bonus area music is energetic and fun. The visuals are clean, vibrant and charming. No textures feel out of place. The skyboxes are beautiful, the textures are nicely detailed, and each of the environment's aesthetic themes are very well done. There are a total of 8 bosses in the main game, each varying in difficulty. Each boss requires you to run around in circles until they swing at you before tiring out, giving you an opportunity to hit them. Most of them enter new stages each time they hit, where they'll speed up and or start using different attacks against you, which adds to the variety and the challenge. Most of them can be beaten within a few tries without too much trouble, while others are more challenging in comparison and require more strategy to beat. Even though there are a couple of tougher bosses that could take a few game overs before you learn how to beat them, there's nothing too crazy in terms of their difficulty. Also, most of them don't have death animations, so they just T-pose instead, which I found pretty hilarious. Before each boss fight, a short cutscene plays that briefly shows an innocent creature going about their day, before getting transformed into a powerful guardian by Baron Dante, ready to do his evil bidding. After beating the boss, a cutscene will play showing the creature turning back to normal as Croc is whisked away to the next island by his helpful ally Beanie the bird. Though this game's story is far from deep, these cutscenes are a fun way of adding a little bit of depth and context to these wacky bosses in a charming cartoony presentation. One of my favorite things about this game overall are these adorable lines that Croc says when he does various attacks. He cycles between the following lines when he does a tail attack. And he cycles between these lines whenever he stomps. This is all thanks to the wonderfully charming voiceover work by Jonathan Aris, and it's one of the most nostalgic parts of the game for me. Though it's nothing revolutionary, Croc is a solid platforming experience once you get used to the unique turning and camera controls. The story, although basic, has a lot of wacky, cartoony charm and love poured into it, which shows in the fun cutscenes. The art is vibrant and lovely to look at, and the various level mechanisms are simple yet fun. Last but not least, the soundtrack ties the whole experience together beautifully. All these elements add up to make a solid platforming experience that is fun to replay, and if you're willing to put the effort in, the 100% completion is totally worth it. I say give it a try, you'll have a pretty crockin' time. If you enjoyed this video and like platformers and action-based indies, be sure to subscribe, like, and hit the bell to be notified of future videos as they release. You can also follow me on Twitter @WizardEmir to stay up to date with channel updates. And if you want to hang out and have fun with the rest of my community, you can join my Discord server. We'd be happy to have you there. Links to all my socials are in the description. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!